I believe that ugly babies deserve love too. Welcome back, art lovers, to Art by Shades, where I address body image, self-love, and how to turn your art into a business. In today's video, I'll be going over how to get over your insecurities as an artist. And I know this is something that's overlooked, but I myself as an artist have had a very hard time getting over how I would feel about sharing my art. I think there's a vulnerability with sharing something that you created, something that you're proud of, or maybe you're not even proud of, with somebody else and them having an opinion about what you created. There's some type of vulnerability that you have to be okay with when sharing that type of thing, because you know that your art is like your baby. It's something that you created and you think is so unique in its creation that I want to share this with somebody else. And the fear of rejection definitely is something that weighs heavily on your mind throughout this process of being able to share it with other people. How I address this is that, I believe that ugly babies deserve love too. And I heard that somewhere and it kind of clicked with me that yes, even though everybody comes around with a baby, you may not think it's the most beautiful baby in the world, but at the end of the day, that baby still deserves the affection of someone else. So I am not going to discredit myself, even if I get negative feedback. As long as it's constructive, I can go forward with that information. Now that we brought up negative feedback is something that somebody's afraid to fail, and they say, you know what, because I feel like I might fail, I'm not going to do it at all. That's something that'll cripple a lot of artists, a lot of people in general, from doing things that they actually enjoy or love. So how I dealt with negative feedback, I kind of said to myself, I know that it's going to come, but I will only address those that are constructive. So if somebody says, hey, your art is shit, or your art's not good, or you know what, one person actually commented, took the time out of their day to comment and said, you need to go back to the drawing board. And how I took that, which was in strides, was that I deleted the comment. I basically blocked the person. And what I took from myself is that, you know what, at that stage, it was the very first thing that I painted by myself without like any other inspiration. So the fact that they were like, you need to go back to the drawing board, if this was my drawing board, then I can't be doing so bad. And why I address that way is that you need to go back to the drawing board doesn't actually give me anything that I can improve on. There's nothing to say, hey, maybe you should work on these techniques, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. It's just a negative comment from somebody that wanted to just let out all their frustration on somebody else just to try to ruin their day. I don't receive that, so therefore I just deleted it and moved on. And it actually made me feel very good after that, ironically. I have even had racist people come on my comment section and say, this is trash. I forgot what the actual words were, but it was just basically hate speech. So I said, you know what, I'm deleting that person and I'm moving on. That doesn't serve me, it doesn't do anything for me, and realistically, just because they feel that way doesn't mean that I need to internalize that. So therefore, I moved on, I kept it moving. And I think that's something that other artists can actually take away from, because not everybody's going to agree with what you put out there. Nobody's going to have an opinion outside of you, but realistically, you have that right to express yourself, because art is an expression. So you express yourself, and not everybody's going to align, but those that do, you will find your tribe. So you just kind of roll with it that way. Another thing that I've used to address my insecurities is actually giving myself positive feedback, actually saying, even though you aren't where you want to be, you can improve from here. And hey, look at what you've done before. Is this the same thing that you've done before, or are you improving as you go along? Because obviously, practice, it's a saying for a reason. The more you practice, the more you put into your craft, the more improvements that you'll see. So in that, I'll just say, hey, Mercedes, you have some ways to go, but look at where you've come. And I celebrate my accomplishments through all of the different art pieces that I create. And I say, look at that. Look where you came from. And what I've noticed is that, especially as a self-taught artist, I continue to put more work out there. I continue to actually produce more work. Obviously, sometimes I'll get frustrated and abandon the project for a bit, but then I always go back into it with new skills, new ideas, and then that also helps me to be able to improve the piece. And sometimes it may not be the time for that piece. Maybe I do need to improve certain skills so that I can give that piece the most potential that it should have. One thing I will say that doesn't help with addressing your insecurities is actually comparing yourself to other artists. You don't know what their journey is. Your journey is definitely different from theirs. So therefore, you actually have to take a lot of their accomplishments at face value. So you don't know how many hours they had to put in, how many ugly children they produced before they got this masterpiece or something that you find just phenomenal. And I think you need to actually look at what they've done, probably try it so that you can see, hey, this is where I'm at and maybe this is what I should improve. But don't take it personally when you're addressing these things. And I am an art lover as well, so I enjoy following and looking at other art so that I can say, that'll be a cool trick to try. You know what, this is beautiful. I don't think I'd like to do it for myself, but just appreciating other people's art. And once you get the fundamental understanding that art is definitely subjective, you should be able to deal with your insecurities accordingly. Now, it will not be a perfect thing from the beginning. You are going to fall subject to your inner critic just kind of crucifying some of the work that you do. And sometimes when you share it with other people, they think it's phenomenal and you're just like, what are you looking at? So sometimes you can't even take your own opinion because you're extremely critical of yourself. So it's a work in progress. You need to kind of follow up with positive affirmations. You need to do a lot of work to kind of get over your insecurities. And you also need to put your ugly babies out there because, like I said, they deserve love too. Let me know in the comments section what you think or how you actually address your insecurities in your everyday life, whether it's as an artist or anything else that you do. See you next time.